what is up, 49er faithful? Thank you for tuning in to a special Sunday morning, Super Bowl Sunday morning live stream here on Keeping the Faith. I'm JD, and it's just uncanny how often the 49ers are in the news cycle. Am I right? Uh, you wake up this morning and there's just nothing but 49ers news left and right on social media. And the Niners just love to be front and center. They don't care that the Super Bowl is today. The 49ers are at the forefront of the NFL news cycle this morning with the latest reports surrounding Deebo Samuel and his expectation that he will be traded this offseason, according to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. And of course, we have Diana Rossini of The Athletic dropping a tweet this morning that the 49ers and Brock Purdy have begun formal contract negotiations with a deal expected to be completed, quote unquote, soon. But we will get into all that here shortly. But first, I want to say what's up to everybody that is tuning in first thing this morning. Also, real quick, are my audio levels good? If my audio levels are good, please let me know. I've been tinkering with it a little bit. I've noticed some issues with videos and whatnot with my audio. So if I look good, if I sound good, please let me know in the chat. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But let's see who we got in the chat here today. I see Mr. Laidback 808 in the building. I see my main man Fazil in the chat. What up, man? 49er Minded. Shout out to Bashar of 49er Minded for being in the chat. Appreciate you guys for tuning in here bright and early. I guess it's not necessarily bright and early, but early here on a Sunday, on a Super Bowl Sunday. I was going to wish you guys a happy Super Bowl Sunday, but if you're a 49ers fan, is it really a happy Super Bowl Sunday? That's a whole nother can of worms, but I hope both teams tie today. That's not going to happen, but Super Bowl Sunday, a bit of a bummer if you're a 49er fan, especially considering the fact that they were in the big game last year and now they're watching on the couch as two of their biggest rivals are competing for the Lombardi Trophy. So either way, today kind of sucks if you're a 49er fan, but like I mentioned, the 49ers are never short on things to talk about, especially in the off season. And early this morning, as soon as I wake up, I see a tweet from Ian Rappaport that had dropped at 4:45 a.m. West Coast time. Ian Rappaport reporting that the 49ers are expected to explore trading star wide receiver Deebo Samuel, according to a source. In what could be a wild offseason, a parting for Samuel in San Francisco is not guaranteed, but it may make sense for all parties. And of course, Deebo Samuel responded to the reports this morning with a praying hands emoji tweet, kind of saying, hey, it's real. This is happening. This is what's going on. And so it's happening, Niner fans. Deebo Samuel and the 49ers are currently exploring options for a trade. And a tweet a short time later from Adam Schefter kind of provided some clarification on that news. And I'll read it to you here. This is from Adam Schefter of ESPN. The 49ers have granted Deebo Samuel and his agent Torrey Danny permission to find a trade partner for the wide receiver, Samuel told ESPN. So Deebo Samuel's telling Adam Schefter what's going on. This comes after Samuel asked San Francisco to trade him during the players' exit meetings after the season. This is a quote directly from Deebo to Adam Schefter. It was a hard conversation to have with Kyle Shanahan because of the relationship that we have, Samuel said today. But I have to do what's best. I'm more than thankful for the Niners giving me the opportunity of a lifetime, but now I think it's best that we find another team. That is very interesting coming from Deebo Samuel, especially coming off of the season that he had where he was clearly frustrated with his role in the offense, going to Twitter talking about, he's not washed up. It's just he's just not getting used enough. despite the fact that the numbers would reflect, his targets this season closely mirror, years past. So he was getting involved. He just wasn't producing at the same level that we've seen him produce. And not only that, Deebo spent this season getting in fights on the sideline with his long snapper, Tabor Pepper. And, he was complaining on Twitter about his usage and then would go into the game that same week and have one of the worst games of his career with multiple drops. It's been a terrible season for Deebo Samuel. So, as we're talking about the exploration of a trade, I'm not really sure what kind of market Deebo Samuel is going to have or what he expects to have. I don't know what Deebo Samuel is thinking in his mind. I'm sure he would assume that his value is just sky high, and he would think to himself, oh yeah, I'm going to be in demand. I'm Deebo Samuel, right? But after the season that he's had, I'm not so sure. I'm not confident that the 49ers could get anything higher than a 5th-round pick for Deebo Samuel. And not only that, with the fact that everyone knows that Deebo wants to be traded, you have to think that, what team's going to really come calling for Deebo and his contract. He is on the last year of his deal entering 2025, and he's due about a $17.5 million cap hit this season. And so a team would be absorbing that in a trade, and I just don't know what team would be willing to not only give up a pick, but then pay Deebo that kind of money, considering the fact that he is a diminished player. He's a guy who is on the downside of his career. He's 29 years old. He's limited as it is, and I'm not trying to sit here and just bash Deebo Samuel. I'm looking at this as objectively as I can. Deebo Samuel is a diminished player. He's a limited player in terms of what he brings to a team. He's not this exquisite route runner. He's a gadget guy. He's a bubble screen guy. You can use him, I guess, as a running back. He more or less excels as a kick returner at this stage of his career. Some people are comparing him to a younger Cordero Patterson, and I like that comp. I think that's a very favorable, comparison for Deebo. And I don't know what team is going to not only trade for him, but, pay him the money that he wants. And the fact that Deebo's on the last year of his deal, you would think he's going to want to structure a new contract with whatever team trades for him. So I don't know. I feel like all that's going to be too rich for an NFL team's blood to want to trade for him. And especially given the fact that Deebo Samuel is unhappy and everyone knows he wants out. So why not just wait for the 49ers to cut him? Am I right? So, I mean, am I disappointed that Deebo wants to be traded? No, I think it is all in the best interest of both parties. I'm over the Deebo Samuel thing. He has not been the same player since 2021, and let me just tell you, that 2021 season from Deebo Samuel is one of the most spectacular single seasons I've ever seen from a 49ers player. And what Deebo has brought to this team, what he's meant to Kyle Shanahan's offense, can't be understated. He's been a very valuable member of this team. He's had some great moments. He's made some huge plays. But I think the time has come to just cut ties. I think that is definitely best for both parties involved. Now it's just going to come down to Deebo and his agent, Tory Dandy, finding a willing trade partner, or the 49ers ultimately, cutting Deebo Samuel. And if we're talking about the ramifications of a Deebo Samuel trade or a Deebo Samuel release, according to Spot Track, of course, Deebo Samuel is in the final year of his contract here in 2025, and he is due a $17.5 million. If the 49ers trade Deebo Samuel, they're looking at a $31 million dead cap hit. However, if they cut Deebo Samuel with a post-June 1st designation, the 49ers can spread that dead cap hit over the next 2 years, and they actually gain $5 million this offseason if they cut Deebo Samuel with a post-June 1st designation. So I don't see the 49ers trading Deebo Samuel, despite the reports that you're reading. I think ultimately what will happen, teams are going to just wait. They're going to say, why would we trade for Deebo when it's going to do the Niners, it's going to be in the Niners' best interest just to cut him after June 1st or with a post-June 1st designation. So I don't think Deebo gets cut. David Lombardi did put out an interesting tweet on that front this morning, and let me go ahead and pull that up here. He says the date to watch is March 22nd. Deebo Samuel has a $15.4 million option bonus due then. One would assume the 49ers would want to make a decision before that triggers. So that's going to complicate things. I'm really curious to see how all this plays out. I don't see the 49ers trading him, and just because of the dead cap hit, I'm not sure how all that's going to work. But at the end of the day, it looks like the San Francisco 49ers and Deebo Samuel have come to the end of the road, and it's definitely been a long time coming. The team openly was trying to trade Deebo last offseason. Over the years, there have been several teams that have been interested in Deebo. The New York Jets, the Baltimore Ravens, who else? The Pittsburgh Steelers. There have been teams that have been interested in Deebo in the past. So the Jacksonville Jaguars potentially. So we'll see if anyone comes calling on Deebo, but I'm kind of glad that it's coming to this, because Deebo is a diminished player, and you see it out there. You saw it all season, and now Deebo's been disgruntled all year long. He knew after the Niners paid Brandon Ayuk that he was pretty much on his way out. They drafted Ricky Pearsall. They gave Juwan Jennings money. The writing's been on the wall. And if you're a 49er fan, yes, some may be sad to see Deebo go. Me personally, I'm grateful for what Deebo has done for this team. He's been one of the most unique players I've ever seen in a 49er uniform, but you got to know when to fold him. You got to know when to cut a guy, and when to cut your losses. And I think that time is very clearly right now. And it's a bittersweet day, I guess. You wish things worked out differently, but here we are. Deebo Samuel has officially requested a trade. It's out there. It's public, and we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. And by the way, guys, we are going to open up the faithful phone line here in a minute, and I want to get your guys' thoughts. So you guys are more than welcome to call in here in a minute. Once I open up the phone lines, I will let you know. Don't call yet. The phone number is down below in the ticker, 415-498-0946. Don't call yet. Call in a minute. We'll talk about it. I want to get your guys' thoughts as well on this Deebo Samuel news. But let's see what the chat is saying. Appreciate it, Bashar. He says the audio sounds good. Thank you very much. Let's see. The Rams are dangerous in the chat, says keep Deebo Samuel away from In-N-Out Burger. Yeah, and you know what? Thank you for reminding me of that. That's another aspect of this whole thing. We saw Deebo Samuel on Radio Row at the Super Bowl down in New Orleans wearing an A.J. Brown, Kelly Green Eagles jersey, looking in, he's not looking in early season shape or training camp shape. I guess round is a shape, but Deebo Samuel looking like he's been putting away some In-N-Out Burger this offseason already, and wearing an Eagles jersey, knowing how the 49ers feel about Philadelphia and how their fans feel about Philly. I know Deebo can say he was supporting his boy A.J. Brown, but at the end of the day, that's not a good look. And, obviously he knew that, what was going on behind the scenes, that he's going to be requesting a trade. So Deebo didn't care how that looked, and he went to Radio Row wearing that Kelly Green Eagles jersey. And there was also the report from Larry Krueger that Deebo Samuel's Morgan Hill home was on the market. We talked about that here recently in a video. And so, it's been coming. It's all been coming. It's everything's kind of boiling over at this point. And here we are, Super Bowl Sunday, with the various reports that Deebo Samuel has officially requested a trade. I'm kind of glad that it's gotten to this point, and I can't wait for it to be over, because I'm tired of the Deebo discourse, if you will. So let's see. We got 49er Tone in the chat. What up, my man, 49er Tone? We got Bob Money in the chat. Long time no see, man. Appreciate you for tuning in. Bashar says, some Niner fans said, don't trip off Deebo wearing a Philly jersey. Right? I mean, obviously it meant something. These players don't do anything without reason, or without knowing the optics of what they're doing. Am I right? So it was very clear something was going on if Deebo was showing up to to Radio Row in an Eagles jersey. And now he's not necessarily petitioning to go to Philadelphia, but he's also not caring about what Niner fans are saying about him at that point either. Um, Bashar also says, support is one thing, but I've never seen a player from another team wear a jersey like that. Exactly. Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth there, Bashar. Andrew in the chat, he says, I hate that. Don't wear other jerseys. I mean, right. Absolutely. It was a bad look, and everyone was kind of wondering, like, really, what's going on there? And I don't know. Deebo wearing that Kelly green jersey in the shape that he's in, kind of looking like a big head of lettuce. You know what I mean? Maybe Deebo needs to eat some more lettuce, and he won't look like that. But in that Kelly green jersey, man, he looked like he was large and in charge. But look, I don't want to be that guy, but Deebo's obviously been a guy throughout his career who has dealt with issues with his weight. His production has gone down since he's gotten paid, and I just think it's time to cut ties. I really, really do. Andrew says A.J. Brown didn't wear a Deebo jersey last year. Good point. We didn't see A.J. Brown wearing a Deebo Samuel 49ers jersey last year, supporting him during the Super Bowl. So, what are we doing, Deebo? Come on, man. Andrew says bring in Davante Adams. We'll get to that. But now with Deebo seemingly on his way out, you would think that the 49ers will be addressing the wide receiver position big time this offseason. All right, so I appreciate all you guys for tuning in here on a Super Bowl Sunday, man. We have a few hours till kickoff, and I wanted to go live and talk about this stuff. So, all right, I definitely think it is more likely that Deebo Samuel gets released, like I mentioned, regarding the post-June 1st cap hit, the Niners with a $5 million cap savings if they do it that way. And Deebo Samuel departing this team is going to leave a massive void, even though Deebo's not the player that he once was. Brandon Ayuk is going to be out until at least midseason as he recovers from his knee surgery. And what does that leave the 49ers with? It leaves them with Ricky Pearsall, who also dealt with injuries last year, and as well as getting shot. And he came on strong late in the year, and we have big expectations for Ricky Pearsall going into 2025, but can you really bank on him? Can you go into the season, guaranteeing yourself that he's just going to have a breakout year? No, you can't say that. We hope he does, but you can't say that confidently because we just don't know. It's been too small of a sample size. Ricky Pearsall is more of a slender guy. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury since college, so the Niners can't just depend on Ricky Pearsall and go into the year feeling completely confident about their wide receiver room. Juwan Jennings going into the final year of his contract this year. So the Niners are actually looking kind of thin at wide receiver once they get rid of Deebo Samuel. And, that's why you're hearing the news about T. Higgins potentially being a target for the San Francisco 49ers. I think that makes a ton more sense now that we're hearing about this Deebo Samuel trade request. Now you have Davante Adams of the New York Jets, who is a West Coast guy. He's from the Bay Area, potentially wanting to come out to the West Coast. Excuse me, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reporting yesterday that Davante Adams is looking to potentially come out to the West Coast and play for a team like the Rams, the Chargers, and Jeremy Fowler also threw in the 49ers. And so with Deebo Samuel out the door, that would open up a spot for a guy like a Davante Adams or a T. Higgins. I don't see them doing anything big in the draft at wide receiver. I don't think they're going to spend that number 11 overall pick on a wide receiver. You already have Ricky Pearsall, who's young. You already have Jacob Cowing, who's young. And this team needs to go into the year with another veteran presence, another big-time presence at wide receiver if they truly want to contend for the playoffs and for a Super Bowl this year. You can't just go and draft a rookie to replace Deebo. So I would expect the 49ers maybe to make some noise in free agency at the wide receiver spot. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a guy like a T. Higgins or Davante Adams, but I think they're going to make a move in wide receiver in free agency. What do you guys think? I want to see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Andrew says, Wall said, get rid of players a year early rather than a year late. Let's go Niners. Yeah, and that seems to be, well, you know what? I'll be honest. It kind of seems like they're getting rid of Deebo a year late. They were trying to trade him last year, and now here we are at the end of the line with everything, and Deebo had a terrible season. So really, they should have got rid of Deebo last year, and they tried, but they ultimately did not do that. Bashar says Devontae to the Bay has a nice ring to it. I like that, Bashar. Devontae to the Bay. Hashtag it, guys. Put it on Twitter. Devontae to the Bay. Bashar also says we've never bothered to develop Jacob Cowing. I mean, you got to think about it. Jacob Cowing had a lot of guys ahead of him on the depth chart this year. You had, Brandon Ayuk at the start of the year, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, of course, Ricky Pearsall. So they had 4 guys that were going to get minutes ahead of Jacob Cowing. And so, yes, I would have rather have liked to have seen a lot more Jacob Cowing, especially late in the year. But we also know that it takes wide receivers some time to learn the Kyle Shanahan offense. Deebo Samuel, of all players, is very famous for saying how hard it was to learn the 49ers playbook as a receiver, especially in his rookie year. It took him, half the season before he really got going. And Jacob Cowing, based on his pecking order on the depth chart, never really had a chance this year. I would definitely think Jacob Cowing has more of a chance to have a role in 2025. So we'll see what happens there. But again, the Niners are going to be adding a receiver in free agency more than likely. So I don't know how much playing time Jacob Cowing is going to get outside of being a kick returner, but we'll see. David Yang in the chat, what up, man? He says Cooper Kupp on a vet minimum due to injuries. The Rams are trying to trade Cooper Kupp. I don't think the Rams would trade Cooper Kupp to the 49ers in a million years. I don't see that. I like where your head's at. I understand why you would think that, but the Rams are looking to trade Cooper Kupp, and I don't think there is a chance in hell that Cooper Kupp comes to the 49ers. Wishful thinking. I like where your head's at, but I don't see it. And really, I think the Devontae Adams thing is pretty far-fetched as well. The money he's going to be owed, the potential, draft compensation that the 49ers would need to give up to get him. I don't know. I don't know. But it's going to be exciting to see what the 49ers do at wide receiver. They definitely have to add at least 1, if not 2 wide receivers here this offseason. And, anybody that knows me knows that wide receiver has always been one of my favorite positions to pay attention to. So I'm definitely hyped on that for sure. David Yang says they might cut him relating to Cooper Kupp. I don't know if they really want him anymore. They don't. That's why they said they're going to trade him. But we'll see. Maybe they trade him. But I would think another team would probably come calling for Cooper Kupp. Who knows? Anything can happen. Stranger, crazier things could happen. I could be going live here next week and Cooper Kupp's a 49er. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. Keenan Allen back in the Bay, says David Yang. We'll see. I like Keenan Allen as a player. I always have. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see it. Shout out to PSG Gotti in the chat. I see you, man. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in. What are you guys doing for Super Bowl Sunday? I'm hyped up, man. I'm getting ready to watch the game today. I'm going to be hanging out with some friends and family, watching the game. I don't care who wins, man. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But here's the deal. I'm gonna put it to you guys like this. If the Chiefs win, it doesn't change anything for the 49ers. I think picking the Chiefs to win is actually picking the lesser of two evils in this one, as strange as that sounds. The Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, it doesn't change anything for the 49ers. The Chiefs already have the 49ers number. The Chiefs already have all the bragging rights. Niner fans will never be able to clap back at a Chiefs fan, and so the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, it doesn't change that. It doesn't add anything to that conversation. Whereas if the Eagles win, we know how Niner fans and Eagles fans get along or don't get along. We know how those two teams don't like each other. And if the Eagles can do something that the 49ers couldn't in beating the Kansas City Chiefs, it's just going to make that fan base even more toxic and loud and obnoxious. So I think honestly, if you're a Niner fan, you might want to root for Kansas City. As bad as that sounds, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't like it either way. I feel gross either way, but I think at the end of the day, I think the Chiefs winning is potentially the way to go if you're a 49er fan in terms of your rooting interest. And you got to think about it this way too. If the Philadelphia Eagles lose the Super Bowl, they're going to have that Super Bowl hangover. And that Super Bowl hangover, as 49er fans now know, is far too real. So Philadelphia losing will help the 49ers potentially in the NFC in 2025. Not only that, they're losing their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who's taking the New Orleans Saints head coaching job. So things are already starting to unravel out there in Philadelphia, and them losing the Super Bowl will just add to that. And hopefully it snowballs and keeps snowballing and rolling down the hill. And hopefully the Eagles have one hell of a Super Bowl hangover and the 49ers rebound in 2025. Moving on, and we will take calls here in a moment. We also have some news relating to 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, and this is according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic. The 49ers and quarterback Brock Purdy have officially begun formal contract talks for his large, looming contract extension that will be upcoming here very shortly, or as Diana Rossini put it, quote unquote, soon. There's been several different schools of thought as it comes to the 49ers and their contract with Brock Purdy. Some thinking they may go with a shorter term deal. Some thinking maybe it could be in the $48 to $50 million range. But then you also have Matt Mayoko, who is basically the 49ers PR team at this point, saying that, I expect Brock Purdy to get around $60 million average annual value. I encourage 49er fans not to freak out on whatever the contract number is initially. You have to wait and see the total guaranteed money. You have to wait and see when all the guaranteed money is to be paid. Typically, we know the 49ers like to have all that guaranteed money done with after 2 seasons so that they can get up out from underneath these big deals if they want to, with minimal hurt to their salary cap. Look, when it comes to Brock Purdy, and I haven't really spoken on this too in depth yet, I planned on making a video this week about the whole Brock Purdy conversation and my thoughts on it. I like Brock. I like Brock as a quarterback. We've seen some highs and lows with Brock. I like Brock. I like what he brings to this team. He's a fiery player on the field. He's a very likable guy, face of the franchise type of guy, great ambassador for the 49er brand, right? But do I like Brock at $55-60 million a year? I don't. I don't. You look at the guys who are making that kind of money, outside of the elites. He's not in the Josh Allen category, the Lamar Jackson category, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. He's not one of those guys. But look at Dak Prescott making $60 million as the highest paid quarterback on an annual basis in the NFL. And look how much that's hurt the Dallas Cowboys. Tua Tagovailoa, look at his big contract, and the Dolphins are definitely regretting that now. I don't like paying Brock Purdy, $55-60 million, but I'm going to take my own advice and I'm going to wait and see what the contract actually looks like before I rush to any sort of judgment. The writing's on the wall. The Niners are going to pay Brock Purdy, and they're going to pay Brock Purdy a ton of money, but I want to see what Parag Marathe, John Lynch, and Kyle Shanahan come up with here with that deal before I freak out or take a drive over to the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm not just based on the pure numbers, which I know is not necessarily the way to look at it. Just on an annual value basis, paying Brock Purdy $60 million is a mistake. I think it's going to be like 22% of the salary cap if Brock Purdy hits that number. I'm not a fan of paying Brock that money. I'm a fan of paying elite quarterbacks elite money, and I don't think Brock Purdy is in that category. Um, you see guys like Josh Allen with the weapons that he had this year, especially prior to acquiring Amari Cooper. Look what Josh Allen did this year with minimal talent in terms of guys to throw to. Patrick Mahomes has done it for years now. Lamar Jackson, for years, his best receiver was Rashad Bateman while he was winning MVPs. Um, I just, if you're going to pay a wide receiver elite money, he has to be an elite quarterback who can elevate the players around him and not necessarily benefit from, you know, the scheme and the talent around him. You have to have an elite quarterback if you're going to pay him elite money, and that's just how I feel about it. I know it's you know a little simple to think about it that way, but I'm not happy about the fact that the 49ers are going to be paying him that much money, and I think they may potentially come to regret it. However, in thinking about it, remember when the 49ers extended Jimmy Garoppolo back in 2018 to a then record-setting deal? They made Jimmy Garoppolo the highest-paid quarterback in the NFL, and that didn't hurt them. That didn't hurt the 49ers, you know, if memory serves me correctly. So maybe it's all for nothing. Maybe all the worrying about the Brock Purdy contract is all for nothing, 49ers fans. Of course, Parag's going to do his job, and the Niners are great at these sort of things. But just on the surface level, I don't like paying Brock Purdy $60 million. But the Niners have done this before. They've paid guys at the top of the market before, and were able to compile a winning team. So I'm going to wait and see. That's where I'm at with the Brock Purdy deal. I'm in wait and see mode. I know that's not necessarily, I know that's straddling the fence. I know that's not taking a firm stance, but we'll see what happens, Niner fans. So with that, I want to go ahead and open up the faithful phone line, and I want to get your thoughts on all the news that we're hearing today, whether it is the Deebo Samuel trade request, which I know Niner fans are going to have strong opinions on, or the news that Brock Purdy and the 49ers have begun formal conversations about his upcoming contract extension, with that deal expected to be consummated soon. So let me go ahead and open up the faithful phone line. And that number again is 415-498-0946. Give me a moment. Let me open up the phone line. All right. The faithful phone line is now open. So anyone wants to call in and give their thoughts, they are more than welcome. I appreciate everybody for sticking around while I went on my little rant there about the news of the day. A lot going on a Super Bowl Sunday. Kind of unexpected, but of course the Niners love to be in the offseason news cycle. They love to, just jump out there and make big time headlines. So, big news to wake up to here today. And it gives Niner fans something else to think about aside from, the Chiefs and the Eagles and playing for the Lombardi Trophy and seeing Taylor Swift's face on TV 50 million times today. So, again, faithful phone lines open. It's 415-498-0946. And we do have a phone call. All right, caller, you're on the air with JD. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, man? It's your boy 49er Tone, man. What's going on?
What up, brother? How you doing, Tone?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just running some errands, man. Just catching the show. Actually making a video as well on my channel, and seen you going live, and I was like, oh, man, I got to call in. So, you know what I mean? This is a big off season for our team, bro.
So what are you thinking about this Deebo news, man? How did that hit you?
So I'm surprised, but I'm kind of not surprised. So as far as Deebo goes, man, we talked about it before, and a lot of people's mentioning it, just the decline in his game. With Shanahan's stubbornness to use him like this is 2021 again. With his decline, I don't know why he even thinks that he has a shot to even, like, the audacity to even try to trade request. Like, we're just going to get, like, we just want him so bad. Like, he can go. And I got nothing but love for Deebo. And I even said in my video, I got nothing but love for him. And for everything that 3rd and 7 in Green Bay, and like plays like that where he's just a gritty, tough player. I mean, he's put his heart and soul with this team. I got nothing but love for him. But it comes a time and place where you kind of outweigh your welcome. You know what I'm saying? You kind of wear that out, and he's just with this past year and showing up, to camp, fat when he first signed this contract extension, just little things like that over the years, you just get tired of it. And when you have that type of production he just had this past year, I mean, there's no loss. Like, go ahead and go, man.
And
That's
really,
that's where I'm at.
really with Deebo, man, if they get rid of Deebo and they bring in a different wide receiver, it's going to actually open up the offense more. Deebo was a very limited player. He was nothing but, sweeps and bubble screens and short slants. You bring in a more complete wide receiver, it's going to open up this offense more.
Oh no, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. Shanahan's stubbornness to use this guy like it's 2021, like he's still the same football player, which he's not. He's not. He's took a lot of hits. The body does break down and wear down with his style of football. I mean, that's why you don't see running backs hitting 30 like that, like you used to. I mean, it's just he the way we use him, it had a shelf life, and that shelf life is already expired, right? He's not the guy to run precise routes like Ayuk. He's not the guy to burn you down deep. He's not the guy to. I mean, the way we use him, it has an expiration date, and I feel like it's already there, or we already passed it. So he wants to request a trade. I don't know how many suitors there's going to be out there for him. I don't know how much we can get back for him. But if it's time to go, then you know what? It's time to go and try to get another receiver. We got to work on the offensive line. We got hopefully Christian McCaffrey gets back healthy. Because we always going to have need that run game. But as far as the wideouts and like you said, you get another receiver, it's going to open up more and help Brock Purdy more. So, I'm good riddance. That's what I'll say.
And you said, the audacity of Deebo to request a trade as if it's the 49ers fault that his production is down. That's hilarious to me, because we saw Deebo go on Twitter and talk about, "Oh, I'm not washed, I'm just not being utilized right." And then he goes into that Rams game and has just a laughable, pitiful performance. And here he is now requesting a trade as if Kyle Shanahan didn't force feed him down the stretch of the season to see what we had from him. So, Deebo, if you want to trade, man, there's the door.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's the little stuff, man. The whole Twitter stuff, the whole podcast stuff, the showing up not in shape, and then all of a sudden he does show up in shape, but it's like, okay, well, he doesn't have the production, so it's like a little too late, I don't. I'm tired of it. It's getting to a point where it's like, Deebo, if you want to go, like I said, we appreciate you forever. You're always in 49er lore. We love you, but it's just time to go. I mean, look, this is a franchise that got rid of more legendary players than Deebo before. You know what I mean? So this is nothing special. If he wants to go, then he can go. And that's just that's where I'm at with Deebo. But real quick, brother, are you talking about or did you happen to mention the Brock Purdy?
I did. I was just talking about the Brock Purdy deal before I opened up the phone line. And what are your thoughts on that news that the Niners and Brock Purdy have officially begun contract talks? I gave my thoughts. What are you thinking? For those that are tuning in right now, Tone and I talk like almost every day about the 49ers. Anytime there's any sort of news, we're texting each other, we're calling each other, "Hey, did you see this? Oh man." So what you're hearing right now is like a daily thing, but I want to know what Tone's thoughts are on this Brock Purdy stuff.
Well, I'm gonna say this. As far as Brock Purdy goes, he's a guy that I don't want to pay elite money, $60 million or whatever it is. But what I'm not worried about is I for sure have the biggest confidence in our front office with Parag Maratri in making sure that this contract, whatever money we we give this guy is going to sound good for the headlines. Oh, the top five money, or the biggest contract in NFL history. Whatever's the headline that they want to put out there, the fine print in the contract is going to be team friendly. So that's the one thing that the 49ers do that I'm 1,000% confident in and not going to be worried about, is making sure that this contract doesn't bite us. But the biggest thing though is we have to get it done though. Whether it's 3 years, 5 years, I'd rather a shorter contract. I know we talked about that before, but regardless of the years, you got to get it done. Just get it done. Make sure you get it done so he can be in OTAs. No contract talks, no contract lingering into training camp. So just get it done. Get Ayuk healthy, get his weapons healthy, and try to get everybody on the same page from the off season to training camp. So that's where I'm at with it.
And it's not just that, it's getting it done before free agency so that you know exactly how much money you have to play with in free agency. You know how all this stuff is going to get structured. That's the biggest domino that has to fall for the 49ers. And I mentioned this before you called in, so you probably didn't hear me. I said the Niners, remember when they paid Jimmy Garoppolo in 2018? At the time, that was the biggest deal in NFL history for a quarterback, and it didn't hurt the 49ers. So they're gonna potentially do something similar again, and I don't think at the end of the day it's gonna hamstring the 49ers doing anything that they want to do.
No, I agree. And wasn't when we signed Kaepernick, was that the biggest deal as well, or was that I forget what the headline for that was?
The
But
issue with
that
the
contract didn't
Kaepernick
hurt us
deal,
either.
the Kaepernick deal was actually like offensive and kind of a slap in the face to Colin Kaepernick. I remember that huge deal. I believe it was like over $100 million and whatnot. But when it came down to actual guaranteed money, I think Colin Kaepernick only got like $12 million guaranteed. Like it was something totally disrespectful. And
Got you.
yeah, that was a
But
whole different animal.
no, but it helped the team.
Hmm.
That's what I was making the point is, no matter what the headline, 100 million or whatever the headline these agents or these people want to put out there that make it sound better than what it is, I'm fine with. But you see, the details is what matters. And the 49ers never, even when we traded the Trey Lance for the picks, majority of the trades the 49ers have made over the years has not really hurt us in the biggest aspect. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I feel like this Brock Purdy thing will not hinder us, and I do feel like with the Super Bowl being at Levi's, getting this contract done, 49ers going all in this year. Let's try to win it at home. I mean, we got a shot. Um, yeah, I'm not too worried about what Parag. The only thing is making sure it gets done early. That's
The
the
only
biggest
thing I
thing.
don't like, the main thing I don't like about paying Purdy this huge deal is that 2 out of the 3 years that Brock Purdy has been the 49ers starting quarterback, he hasn't been able to finish the season. And so
Yeah.
he has injury concerns. He's been beat up. He may have some lingering issues with that surgically repaired elbow, that UCL, nerve damage and whatnot. So paying Brock Purdy, if it's more than a 3 year deal, if we're looking at a 4 or 5 year deal, what about the possibility that Brock Purdy's arm just kind of falls off a cliff with all the damage that he's sustained? That's where I'm hesitant to pay Brock Purdy. And not only that, and we've had this conversation a million times, it is very evident, it is completely just out there for everyone to see that Brock Purdy cannot play if the ball is wet. And I don't want to pay a guy elite money if he can't play in the rain or in the elements.
Oh no, I agree, and I got a lot of reservations towards Brock Purdy. But one thing I will say with him is, you know, he hasn't been able to stay healthy and this and that. But the one thing about him is he is a gamer. He is a gamer. He is a guy who's gonna go out there and give it his all, and I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But with him, not staying healthy, being smaller, the elbow thing. Yeah, oh, and that was another thing. I got a bunch of thoughts in my head. That was another thing we were saying. It might have been better for him to get the full Tommy John over the partial as well, because now you're kind of seeing the residual effects on that. You know what I'm saying? So I know with football it's kind of tough because you get the full Tommy John, like, and you're literally out for 12 months. But see, when you see in baseball with the pitchers, they throw, they get 1 or 2 miles per hour faster and harder on, velocity on their pitches. So he might have came back stronger, but he would have been out completely for the next year. So I get why they took took the other route. But I do worry about that elbow, and him getting hit, and I mean, the dude's a gamer, and I love him for that. He'll go out there and make runs. I mean, dude acts like he's 6'6". You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I give him credit for that, but he does put his body on the line, and he hasn't, like you said, hasn't been able to finish, and that's a big thing. But that's also a Kyle Shanahan thing too. Kyle Shanahan, how many years have Kyle Shanahan had a quarterback start from week 1 to the last week? I think Jimmy with 2019, and then you can count the Brock season as well, because we sat him out for the was it the Rams? When we sat him out for the game, was it last year or 2 years ago? But really, Kyle Shanahan's scheme and offense, the quarterbacks never finish the season, or they play part of the season. So that's also a Shanahan thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Tone, man, I appreciate your thoughts, man. I'll let you get to whatever it is that you're doing, and get ready for the Super Bowl today, man. Thank you for calling in.
Oh man, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. And yeah, man, just want to give a shout out to everybody listening, man. Keeping the Faith, the best 49er podcast out there, man. Hope everybody's enjoying their Super Bowl Sunday, and then you can hit me on 49er Tone as well, man, on YouTube, man. God
Absolutely. Everybody check out my guy 49er Tone. Thank you, Tone. Talk to you later, bro.
All right, brother.
All right. Shout out my guy 49er Tone for calling in and giving his thoughts. If anyone in the chat wants to react, or anyone wants to call in and react to what 49er Tone had to say, or any of my thoughts, the faithful phone line is now open. 415-498-0946 is your call-in number. I know while I was on the line with Tone, another person was trying to call in. So now is your chance. The line is open. Shout out Niner J TV in the chat. I see you, man. That's another guy that you guys need to go check out, Niner J TV, and his 49ers content. He's been, grinding out tons of videos lately. I like what he does over there on his channel. Niner J TV, man, if you're tuned in right now and you want to call in and give your thoughts, you're more than welcome right here on this special Super Bowl Sunday live stream here on Keeping the Faith. And here we go. We got another call. What's up, caller? You're on the air with JD. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, hi. This is Don. I'm calling from SoCal. How's everybody doing? How you doing?
What's up, Don? How you doing, man? What's on your mind?
Hey, listen. So I got the news today about Deebo requesting the trade. I'm very excited because of the fact that I felt in my heart of hearts that he really didn't want to be with the Niners anymore, and he did not really produce in both of the Super Bowls that they participated and lost. So the thing is, if he's not going to want to be a team player, and his actions during the season when he was like trying to choke that the placeholder, he needs to go. So I felt like he wore out his welcome, and hopefully the door hits him on his ass when he goes out the door.
Yeah, and I don't blame 49ers fans for feeling that way. I mean, he's going to be leaving the 49ers in a very sad way for a guy that was so beloved at one point in time, and it's kind of sad that it's come to this, Don. I wish it was different, but here we are. Don, what are your thoughts on the Brock Purdy news?
For me, I feel like maybe he should play out his contract and see what the Niners want to give him. In my heart of hearts, I feel like he does not deserve the $50 to $60 million deal because he has not really proven anything. I feel like at this moment he's not an elite quarterback. He has potentials to be an elite quarterback, but I feel like that's, in my opinion, it's a little too steep. And I wish that he would maybe go like 30 to 40 and say, hey, you know what? Let's help the team out. I'm willing to work with you guys to structure my contract where we can get players to come in and help us win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Because this guy has a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong. But
that's the thing. We're actually going to learn a lot about who Brock Purdy is as a person during this negotiation, because everyone's
Hmm.
kind of just assumed this whole time that Brock Purdy is this team first guy. He's like a Tom Brady, that he'll take less money to keep the guys around him. I'm really
Right.
curious to see what that final number is. If he's breaking the bank, if he's 60, 65 million, Niner fans may look at Brock Purdy a little bit differently.
I agree with you on that. And you know what? To be frank with you, just looking at all these quarterbacks that made it to the playoffs, and look how they performed in the playoffs. If you look back, and a lot of these quarterbacks got ousted during the first round or second round. You know, when they compare quarterbacks, I forgot some of the quarterbacks who they were like trying to compare. But if you go down the list of the quarterbacks that they're comparing their salary to Brock's potential salary, then you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, like from Lamar Jackson's to I forgot the other quarterbacks right now because you know
To
we're not in the
Justin
playoffs.
Herbert, yeah, there's
Justin
there's other
Herbert,
guys.
right? And you'll see that his value looked pretty good. Why? Because last year Brock Purdy took him the Niners to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And I wish things would have gone differently, where they would have had a better O line. And who knows? My heart of hearts, I thought that they won the chip. You know what I mean? But the outcome came a little bit different than what I saw. So hopefully,
Absolutely.
hopefully, before I let you go, the defense gets it together. Uh, Health plays an important role during the season, and everybody looks at it and says, you know what? They have a cakewalk schedule. Nothing is ever easy. In the NFL, these are all professionals that are playing. You never underestimate your quarterback. I mean, not your quarterback, but your the teams that you're playing against, and you got to respect the teams that you play against. And so, hopefully, the Niners have a good year. We got Salah back. I'm pretty hyped about that. You know, they hired the guy from I think for a special teams,
Gus Bradley from the Colts. Yep.
right? And then they hired another gentleman, right, from the Tennessee Titans, I think it was.
Uh, I can't
Well,
think of
they
who.
hired someone else,
They hired the special teams coordinator from the Jets as
right?
well, and then the offensive coordinator. They haven't really officially announced that yet, but we'll
Yeah.
see there. But Dan, you have any other thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I just hope that they get Miles Garrett. That would be pretty cool though. But I don't know how they're going to pull that off. I don't know who they're going to trade. But I would give up that number 11 pick and a couple of second rounders for Miles Garrett.
In a heartbeat. I mean, anyone that they draft at
Yeah.
11 is not going to be Miles Garrett. So if that's the hang up,
No.
then I don't know what to tell you. They if they can get Miles Garrett, they need to do it.
Right. So I appreciate you, JD. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you. Niners talk. Love my Niners all the way, no matter what happens. They'll always be in my heart of hearts. And your show rocks, man. I just want to let you know.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and let's root for the tie today in the Super Bowl.
Okay, sounds good, man. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
man. You too. Shout out Don for calling in down from SoCal. Much appreciated. If anyone else wants to call in, now is your chance. The faithful phone line is now open. The line's open 415-498-0946. If anyone else wants to give their thoughts before we go ahead and wrap it up for the day and get ready for this big game here today. I see we have quite a few people watching the stream right now, but if anyone wants to call in and give their thoughts, like I said, now is your time. And I do have a bit of an announcement that is pending, tentative, whatever you want to call it. I may or may not be starting a daily early morning live show from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific time, doing something similar to this, just talking Niners every day, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. while people are up and getting ready for work and they want to get their 49ers fix. That's something that I'm thinking about. I put out a poll recently and people responded to it quite well, and so I'm thinking about doing something like that. If you guys have thoughts on that, you can put it in the chat or leave a comment, things like that. So I'm definitely leaning towards doing something that way. That way I can have more of a consistent schedule with my shows. I know not everyone's going to be up that early, but a lot of people are as they're getting ready for work and whatnot. People want to hear some Niner talk maybe while they're driving to work. So that's something I'm definitely thinking about here in the near future as well. we go back to the faithful phone line. We go up to the 510 caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, JD, it's Fazil from Fremont. How you doing, man?
Fazil, what's up, my friend? How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. The two teams that, we didn't want and that we hate. I know this happened 2 years ago as well. We'll see what goes on. But in news of today, that was like at 4:45 in the morning or something, with Deebo requesting a trade. Honestly, I kind of felt like it was bound to happen, which the way the season went for Deebo, especially mentally, and then the drop balls in the big games, and then the tweets about him not getting the ball much, him on an expiring contract this year. I think it kind of makes sense to trade or cut him. I know the trade will be in dead cap, but after the post June 1st trade cut, they could save some money from there. But honestly, if there's a package, we can probably send over to Cleveland to get Myles Garrett on top of that, with his rumors swirling, and Fred Warner, Lenore, and Kittle recruiting him on the Kay Adams show past the Super Bowl week in Radio Row, I think would be huge, giving away a first, maybe a 2/3 and Deebo, throwing in another pick swap or something. Maybe that could be a trade that the Niners can cook up in when the new year starts. But honestly, I feel like that might be happening. I don't know what's going to go on with this Deebo situation, whether it's going to be a cut or trade. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on that, what I think might happen, or I think should happen. Maybe.
Adding Deebo in a potential Myles Garrett trade could be very enticing for the Cleveland Browns, because Deebo's basically on an expiring contract, and it just sweetens the pot if the Niners are able to, throw in that 11th pick and potential, other picks as well. And you just throw in Deebo to kind of sweeten the deal. I like where your head's at.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I just wanted to call and say, hope you're doing good, man, and can't wait for the new league year to start. Love the addition of Robert Saleh and Gus Bradley, joining the staff, so this should be a much improved defense in the future, including with the acquisitions of trades, free agents, and the draft.
Absolutely. This is one of the biggest off seasons in recent memory for the Niners and their fans, and I'm definitely hyped up, man. So, hey, Fazil, I appreciate you calling in. What are you doing for the Super Bowl today, man?
Oh, I'm going to be with family, with my wife. We're going to be at my cousin's house. We got my mom, my dad, my sister, and my other cousins, everyone, cooking some food, and we're going to watch the game together, as usual. But, it's kind of like a weird Super Bowl to watch. But, to be honest, my pick for this one, I know we hate both teams, but honestly, I don't know who's going to beat Kansas City right now and the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Mahomes, because of no matter how good you can play, and if you make one mistake in this game like Jalen Hurts maybe does, it may be enough to cost them the game. Like you saw last year with us, and then Jalen Hurts made that mistake 2 years ago with that fumble when they were leading 14-7 in that game, and that one actually ended up costing them. Mm-hmm. They were winning by like over 10 in that one too, just like how we were. But you cannot make mistakes against this Kansas City team in the postseason, especially the Super Bowl, as we know for a fact. So that's where I think it happens. I think the Chiefs win 30-27. I may be wrong. Mahomes wins this MVP, and they win their fourth Super Bowl, a part of their dynasty.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Until somebody beats the Chiefs, it's kind of hard to pick against them,
Yeah, absolutely, JD. I know it sucks to say that, but it's just my honest thinking of what I think is going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Fazil, man, go enjoy the game. Thank you for calling in, man, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Awesome. You too, JD. Take care, man. Enjoy the day.
Will do, man. Thank you. Shout out my guy, Fazil, for calling in. Always been a loyal follower of the channel. I saw someone else trying to call in, and there they are. Let's see. All right, now we go out to the 408 caller. You're on Keeping the Faith with JD. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yo, JD, what's up, man? It's Bashar, 49 Minded, over in the 916.
Oh, what up, Bashar? Hey, guys, shout out my guy here, Bashar. Follow his channel on YouTube, 49er Minded. He puts out 49ers content, does his thing over there. So, you guys, if you aren't following him, definitely give him a shout, give him a look. What's up, Bashar, man? How are you feeling about this Deebo Samuel news, the Brock Purdy contract talks? What are you thinking?
Deebo, it's like, as Niner fans, we have this torn. We're always torn between Deebo. At least a lot of us were last season. We're like, where has this guy been? Why hasn't he developed? And he still can't separate on various routes. And they're trying to reinvent the wheel by smashing him up the middle like he's Jerome Bettis, and it does not work. He goes backwards all the time when he gets hit by linebackers. It's like, dude, the guy's not a running back. Sure, he can do running back type things, but we know that he's not a real pure running back, and he's not a real pure wide receiver either. So it's like, it's like every 5 games he'd blow up and look like the real Deebo, right? And then towards like the second half of the season, maybe the last like 5 or 6 games, he was starting to look more like Deebo, but by then it was too late. And it's like, whatever, man. We're paying him way too much money to sit there and wait on him, to wait every 4 games for him to blow up and have a nice game, So
Now the only time we see Deebo blow up is when he backs away from the dinner table. Now that's when we see Deebo blow up.
I gotta send you this picture on Facebook. This guy, I don't know who photoshopped it, but it's him eating at McDonald's wearing the McDonald's shirt. So it's pretty funny, man. I'll send it to you. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, we deserve a lot better as Niner fans. I mean, certain Niner fans are like, oh, who are you to talk about Deebo wearing another team's jersey? He's supporting his friend. Oh, you Niner fans are so sensitive. But like I said earlier in the chat, I mean, you don't see other players do that. I mean, nobody was doing. Again, you were saying, and other people were saying, nobody did that for us on Super Bowl weekend last year. So it's just, I don't know where his head's in. He is always doing little weird things, and he's too vocal with his podcast. I mean, why do we have all these players just like going out of their way with podcasts and all this other stuff? Just, I don't know, man.
But you got to look at it. You got to look at it now. Now we know why Deebo was wearing that Eagles jersey. He's not going to be here. He doesn't want to be here. He had already told the 49ers he wanted to be traded. So that's why he's doing those types of things. He wasn't doing it like to piss off Niner fans or anything like that. He's just washed his hands of the 49ers at this point.
Yeah. Obviously, there must have been something that we didn't know. It sounds like pretty much that, probably Niners, I don't know how official it is, but it sounds like they told him to probably restructure, and he didn't want to be a part of it, and therefore both teams are going to part ways. And, he was pretty vocal about it. He spoke up about it. So it's no mystery now, pretty much.
Well, hey, it is what it is, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what they do at wide receiver. But Bashar, man, what are you thinking about this Brock Purdy talk that the Niners and Purdy are officially engaged in contract talks with the deal expected to be done soon?
Yeah, I saw that. Right around a little bit after your show started, I saw the headline for that. So I was like, okay, that's good that they're going to try to get things done. I mean, I wasn't part of the camp where there were a lot of Niner fans who were really, really complaining, really bitchy about how much money Brock's getting. And I know that he hasn't, he didn't have his best season this past season. I get it. Now, the season before, he was in the MVP talks. So, yeah, I mean, do I think Brock can bounce back? I definitely do. I mean, do I think he's top 10? I definitely think he's in the top 10 conversation, somewhere around maybe 7 or 8. And then, I've always been a proponent of trying to build something around Brock. I mean, give him proper protection. I felt like he was running for his life a good portion of last season. And, I'm not gonna pout too much if he gets a big time contract. I mean, Joe Montana gave him a pretty ringing endorsement. I know a lot of people don't necessarily respect him, Gruden, so much in NFL circles like they used to. But I mean, he gave Brock a pretty ringing endorsement. Same with Mark Schlereth and a few other guys. And with my own eyes, at least, I saw a lot. I saw a lot in Brock where it tells me he's the franchise guy. And that was a guy who was a major proponent of trying to get Trey Lance to the mix and trying to see what we had with that pick. But Brock totally won me over, at the same time. So I'm okay with us. Just getting Brock signed, sealed, and delivered, and just worrying about everything else and trying to fill in the other holes and see where we go with free agency in the draft.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I know you are. What's coming up on your channel over there, man? What are we thinking over there?
Man, it's the channel. I got to reinvent the channel somehow. I ran into some weird internet things going on where my connection, like I can do everything with my internet, but stream for whatever reason. So I got to get on the horn with my internet provider pretty soon and let them know what's up if things aren't working properly. But yeah, I definitely want to get back on there. Want to do some mock draft shows. I love the mock drafts. I love talking about the draft and upcoming players. So I'm definitely excited to get back on the get back on the road with the show and do that. It should be a lot of fun. Should be all kinds of off season stuff to talk about.
All right, Bashar. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. I guess enjoy the Super Bowl today. I don't know if that's the right
No,
term. I don't know if that's the right
I'll
way
enjoy
to
my
look at it,
pizza.
but yeah,
I'll enjoy
enjoy
my
the food.
pizza.
Absolutely, enjoy the
Yeah,
food, enjoy the commercials, maybe the halftime show. And who cares about the game? Honestly, who cares?
yeah. They could forfeit probably.
Yep. All right, Bashar, man. Thank you for calling in,
All right,
brother.
man. Take care. Go nice.
Later. Shout out Bashar from 49er Minded for calling in. Uh, you guys go check out his channel, subscribe to him, find him on social media at 49er Minded. I see Danny Golding poking his head in the chat. What up, Danny? Thank you for tuning in. You guys can check out his channel as well, Danny Golding TV. He talks everything Bay Area sports over there, whether it be the Golden State Warriors, San Francisco 49ers, San Francisco Giants. So check out Danny if you feel so inclined. All right, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I think we've had a good stream today, hitting on these new topics coming out this morning with the 49ers revolving around Deebo Samuel requesting a trade and the 49ers formally engaging in contract talks with Brock Purdy, and that contract is expected to get done soon, according to Diana Rossini of the Athletic. Also, if you guys want to help support the channel, while we get the ball rolling here and get monetization back at some point, there are a couple ways you guys can do that, whether that is on Cash App or Venmo. JD49TD is where you'll find me on those platforms. If you want to help support the channel, not required, but greatly appreciated as we get the ball rolling and get the watch hours up and get the channel monetized again here somewhere down the line. Appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Thank you to everyone that called in and gave their thoughts. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Super Bowl Sunday. I guess we got to enjoy it because it's the last game, until the fall. So with that, I will catch you guys very soon. And again, be on the lookout for the morning show that I have coming soon. I will drop a formal video officially announcing all the details for that here soon. But I will be doing a morning show consistently here very shortly. So with that, I will catch all you guys